Perfect Turd Podcast, episode 204, Lamar Ape versus Mecha Ape.
I guess they're trying capture. Well, we're back with Asylum. They're trying to capture the monsters going up against each other. They keep on releasing like a bunch of Godzilla, King Kong movies, and then Asylum is like, well, we should make our own. And what have they not done? A metal beast.
Well, there was like a Mecha Godzilla at some point.
There was.
But we found out that this was actually a sequel to
Yes.
basically they made the kind of King Kong Godzilla ripoff, which was called Ape versus Monster. And this was a sequel. So full disclaimer, we haven't seen the original. we
have not. We missed a lot of things explaining things in this movie because we haven't seen it.
Yeah. Well, speaking of explaining, would you care to explain our first category, which is story?
I'm gonna need some help here, Joe. Okay.
Don't ask me.
Okay. So for some reason, in retaliation of this ape that we find out from previous information, very dangerous and everything like that, some government finds it in their budget to make a big robotic ape, correct?
Right.
And they test it out on this random base, right?
Mm-hmm.
Even though they dress it up as a real ape.
Yeah.
And when they try to fight back against the ape with their own like RPGs, it blows off everything. But the Russians, who we think are Russians,
yeah,
we'll talk about that later. They want to retaliate. This is wrong. How dare they attack our land? And so they hijack Mecha Ape.
Yeah.
And they release chaos and they get a nuclear bomb and attach it to Mecha Ape.
Mm-hmm.
And the only way to stop Mecha Ape is, of course, Abraham the Ape.
From the first
Did I miss anything?
Yeah. I mean, no, you did not miss anything.
Oh,
That's pretty much it.
To say, tell me, because this is so convoluted. Because Joe, I just want to say this: I'm not a military strategist, but I would think if you have a nuclear bomb, attaching it to a Mecha Ape kind of seems not only redundant but an unnecessary step.
Says you, Lamar.
I guess so. I don't see the logic there. I'm like I said, I'm not a military strategist.
The thing is, like you said, this plot it's very convoluted.
Yes.
And even though we didn't see the first one and we didn't have all of the information, my big problem with this was that it wasn't even that fun. The story was just kind of meandering with stupidity and all kinds of other things, but it wasn't like over the top fun, which is what I expect from an Asylum film.
Yeah.
So I give it a 0.
I agree. I agree with you, Joe, because they took so long to get to the actual Mecha Ape with Abraham. You would think they would have like maybe some scenes of them like trying to fight the Mecha Ape on their own while the ape showed up. None of that. So I agree. No fun. Like, come on.
Fun.
Do
it wasn't
fun.
fun.
Fill it up. Yes.
Well, our next category, Lamar, is what do we think of the characters?
This is also like subcategory accents. Because, well, you have Sloane. She knows how to talk to Abraham. She knows how to communicate with the ape. And I guess her character is very loving and all this stuff. But then you have the antagonists. They say they're Russians, but their accents
are all over the place. The actors are doing the best that they can. However,
do we know that for sure?
I don't know that for sure, but it was like they were going for the Russian accent, but you could see that they were like losing it, and it was going back to like regular American accent, but then it was morphing into some other kind of...
Exactly, and that's the problem. It's like, if you have a bad accent, you have to keep it, consistent. This is just like, okay, is she English now? Is she American now? She's back to Russian. And this is for all the antagonists.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah, I mean, so and then another character you had was Tom Arnold playing some kind of politician of whatever
yeah.
national defense person. The characters to me were not very good. They were mostly boring. At least Tom Arnold put a little spice to the mix.
But he wasn't even funny.
He
Did he have any funny moments? Because Tom Arnold is a funny person. I'll say
well,
that.
he did the
Yeah.
best with what they gave him. He was putting his energy into it. You know, he tried at least. I don't know. I'll give it a half a point. I
Oh
guess.
Jesus! Well, okay. Good for you. Good for you.
I take it you're giving it a 0.
I gotta give it a 0, man. It is,
Well, we'll move on to our next category then, which is what do we think of the monsters?
Okay, I'll say this. I like the idea of a big metal ape with guns on it.
Yeah, that is cool.
That is cool. But going back to your original point, did they do enough with it though?
Not really. You hardly saw them, and their fight scenes together were not much.
Yeah.
That's the big problem. Like this goes back to the concept is kind of cool, but the execution was shit. So yeah, I'll give it a half point because I do like the concept.
Mm-hmm. I
What do you?
agree. Half a
Yeah.
point. Now
Next category, Lamar. This is an interesting one. More
it is.
interesting than you would think.
Yes.
Special effects. What'd you think?
I think the ape, for what they had, it looked like it fit in the movie. It wasn't
It did.
I'll say that. It wasn't distracting like a
Right.
lot of these other movies. Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't terrible. I mean, obviously, they do the best they can with whatever they got, but it wasn't terrible.
No.
And it wasn't like you said, it wasn't distracting. It kind of fit overall. The green screen work wasn't awful because you could see backgrounds were green screen, but it
Oh
didn't
yeah.
have that outline on the people and stuff. What do you give it?
I'm giving it a 1.
Oh wow, okay. I'm gonna give him. I'll give him a half point.
That's
Half
fine.
point.
I understand it. I understand it.
They did
Yes.
the best they could, and it was surprisingly decent.
It was very much so.
Lamar, these movies they get a lot of sequels. Do we want to see another sequel? Is our last category.
Well, we found out this one was a sequel to another movie that we
Yeah.
didn't know about. I'll say this: if they do more with the ape, and I would say this: if they do more with the ape and even bring back Mecha Ape,
Wait,
maybe they do
he's
Cyborg
destroyed.
Ape.
They have to rebuild them.
Yeah, that's the thing. You could rebuild the ape, Mecha Ape, and they can team up and go against, I don't know,
Oh, so they
something.
befriend each other. You want to see,
It's
but
something. They have to do something.
other monsters, I guess.
Yeah, and that's the thing. That's why I'm not sold on it, because from this movie, I'm just like, they need more seasoning, Joe. But it's like they could do something, but with this movie, they didn't do enough. So it's like,
What if they send the ape back in
back in
time,
time.
Lamar? And now he's got to fight like all the dinosaurs in the prehistoric era
Why does he fight the dinosaurs, Joe?
because there's a park in the future full of dinosaurs,
Okay.
and the dinosaurs run rampant. They break out of the park. They're
Okay.
starting running rampant. And we say the only way we can stop the dinosaurs in the present is if we send the ape and his sidekick, Mecha Ape, into the past to destroy all the dinosaurs so that dinosaurs never existed ever.
So this is like Terminator Ape.
Yeah.
See, that one you might have me on. I would say it would be cool if you just sent the Mecha Ape disguised as an ape.
Well, they did that in the beginning of this movie, so
Well, the problem is that they're not used to seeing big ass apes in this day and time. But if they sent the Mecha Ape back in time, disguised, and then over time it like lost its outer shell, that would be okay. So
there you
you
go.
might have one then, Joe.
There you
Okay.
go.
See, yeah.
What if we find out
Okay.
that in the past, the only way that David was able to beat Goliath was because we had sent Ape back in time to
Now you're
help him
just
fight
saying
the
stupid
giant.
shit. Now
I'm
you're
just
just
saying.
saying shit. You're just saying
Yo, that's
shit.
not saying that's
No,
good.
no, you're just saying stuff now. You had me by sending the apes back in time. Now you just
Well, let me ask you this.
okay.
What sounds more probable? That David defeated a giant with a slingshot or whatever it was, or that in the future people helped him by sending a giant ape for his assistance?
I say the slingshot. You know why?
Why?
Because he has to be very precise. He probably whipped it. You don't know. You could can't you kill a giant with like a gun or something like that?
I don't think so. I mean, how
So if he whipped it the right way, wham,
how
pow.
big? But if he was whipping that thing around, how big of a rock could it have been? Maybe
It
this
could
like a
be.
baseball.
We got to get like a physicist.
But how fast you think he could have swung a baseball-sized rock?
That's the point of the story, though, Joe. That guy probably gave him some extra velocity,
The
and
point of the
wow.
story is that God told the scientist in the future to send the giant ape to the past to help David defeat Goliath.
But then, how did David then became like King David and stuff like that? It's going to be just the ape that did it.
Well, nobody saw it. It was in private.
Oh, yeah, okay. So we send a big ape back in time, and it's just
Yeah,
stealthily,
it's for
just
just
helping
to
out
assist them.
David.
Yep.
You had me with the first one, Joe. I'm sorry. But
Anyway,
what do we rate the chances of a sequel, though, Joe?
oh, the chances of the sequel, I'm for sure they're gonna make another one, but I don't know. I don't know if I want to see it. I'll give it a half point. I'm lukewarm to this.
I'm right there with you, half a point. Yes. So yeah.
Well, Lamar, we tallied the score, and surprisingly, Ape versus Mecha Ape got a 2 out of 5. Kind of in
They
the
didn't
middle.
they didn't push the premise.
That's what it is.
They didn't.
There's
Yeah.
something there, but it just, you know.
Get some more scenes where Mecha Ape is tearing up everything. Then, because everybody's like, oh my gosh, we don't want, the ape to be, I don't know, shoved off somewhere, blah, blah, blah. But then it's like, okay, if this ape defeats Mecha Ape, we will let him run free.
Yeah.
There's your movie.
Anyways, does that wrap this up, Lamar?
It does.
Ape versus Mecha Ape. Peace.
Deuces.